Hello everybody, Razorblade Mango here, and this is, well, the video for Marvel's Spider-Man, which is the latest game from PlayStation and Insomniac Games, who are of course famous for Ratchet and Clank, Spyro the Dragon, Resistance, Sunset Overdrive, lots of stuff. Very prolific developer for a very long time, like ever since my early childhood. These guys have been around, and at long last we have their Spider-Man game, which was announced 2 years ago. One of the biggest surprises at E3 that year, because I never thought in my wildest dreams that Activision would, you know, willingly give up the rights to Spider-Man, which is like a cash cow, or it was until the udders started drying, because Activision was releasing one of these things like every 2 years, and people got sick of Spider-Man. But now, 4 years later after the last game, Spider-Man is back with a game that is set to be the beginning of this new relationship between Marvel and video games, which is interesting, because I guess Square Enix has got its hand in the pie now, and Sony's got its hand in the pie. Apparently there's going to be other Marvel games, because there isn't enough Marvel already out there with the movies and the TV shows and all that. We got to have the video games now. So this is Marvel's Spider-Man, or just simply Spider-Man as I'm going to refer it to. Right, so you can tell already, if you've read the title of this video, what I think of this game. And if you follow me on Twitter, you should obviously know what I think of this game. I'm gonna be, here comes another unpopular opinion from Razorblade Mango here, but I think Spider-Man is probably the most average open world game you could possibly come up with in terms of just structure and general ideas. This is a game that has numerous good things about it, and I'll definitely go into them in this video. There are numerous things about this game that I really like and flat out love at some points, but so much of this game is let down by the fact that the general minute-to-minute gameplay of this game, the swinging to the side missions to the campaign missions, I think is about as average as it gets. And that's the word that keeps, popping up in my head when I think of Spider-Man PS4, which is average. It's just average. It's got great traversal. They nailed the web slinging in this game, and unlike a lot of people that, it simply just clicked with them, my experience with the web slinging was that it took a little while for me to get used to it, because I'm so used to Spider-Man 2's web slinging, which is, in my opinion, still the best Spider-Man game ever made. And this one, it took a little bit, but when it finally clicked, I was like, okay, this is really fun. Like, the simple act of swinging through the city, pushing your momentum forward and jumping off of buildings and jumping through skylines, it's so fun. Doing that is a lot of fun, and I think a lot of people's perception of the game, and I'm gonna make a fair assumption, I think a lot of people's overall positive assessment of this game comes from the fact that the web slinging is so good. I'm not saying that's the only thing, but I've seen quotes from people that are like, oh, I care more about these generic boring side activities when the traversal is so much fun. And I'll get into that later, but yeah, the web slinging is definitely something I can agree upon that's really good. I think the graphics, of course, look very nice. They're not the most mind-blowing graphics I've ever seen, but it is a very pretty looking game. The voice acting, to me, is the highlight of this whole thing. I love all the performances. I think Spider-Man's voice actor is fantastic. I think the guy that plays Miles is really good. All the villains have really good voice acting. All the side characters have really good voice acting, particularly, in my opinion, MJ, who is voiced by the one and only Laura Bailey. And I guess this will be a good segue into what is hands down my favorite part of this game, which is the relationship between Peter Parker and Mary Jane Watson, which that's the last thing I expected to be the highlight of the game. Like, I honestly wasn't even thinking about MJ all that much when I was playing it, or when it was like leading up to launch. I was like, Spider-Man fighting villains, all that. But the thing that kept me going through this game, and trust me, like, there were points in this game where I was just like, I am simply not enjoying this, was seeing Peter and MJ together. I really enjoyed their interactions with one another, because to me, it is one of the most heartfelt, vividly endearing romances I've seen in a game, and probably ever. This is like, I had a discussion with a subscriber, David, who said, you know, he likes to see romances when they're done well in games. And I said that romance isn't necessarily something that I look for in any of these games, but when it's done right, it's a really nice thing. Like, really appreciate it. And I have a soft spot for things like that, because I like the theme of, you know, love in the darkness of times and stuff like that. I'm a softie when it comes to that. And this relationship between Peter and MJ, to me, just feels so naturalistic. It doesn't feel like they're just simply together because, oh, comic book lore says they're together. When you watch these two interact, and the actors are so good, and the facial animation is so good, you really, you feel that there is this history between them, that they have been friends, and they even mentioned that they've been friends since they were kids. And you definitely get this idea that it's this complex, loving, frustrating relationship between the two, where they grow and change as people alongside one another. And that thing I really liked about this. And like any relationship in this game, it's got its ups and downs. And I was honestly rooting for Spider-Man to patch things up with Mary Jane way more than I was him fighting Mr. Negative or Electro or Vulture or any of those other guys. I simply just wanted to see more MJ and Peter together, and I really liked that. That was hands down my favorite part of this game. And it reminded me a lot of the relationship between Nathan Drake, bringing up another PS4 exclusive, Nathan Drake and Elena from Uncharted 4 specifically. Because Uncharted 4 has that moment where they have been together for so long, and like this moment that I will never forget from Uncharted 4. It's that scene where Nathan Drake is reading the pirate stuff when he's at that table and he sees all the dead people on the chairs, and he's like talking with this enthusiasm about, you know, the history behind this gathering of pirates and how they were all poisoned. And while he's going off on this tangent about it, it's this simple look from Elena that really sells you on how deep their relationship is. Like, this look of like love and tenderness and understanding and frustration. It's so, like, you feel it in your gut when you watch it, and that's the way I felt watching Peter and MJ. Like, when they're laughing together and having fun, and Spider-Man has to zip away to solve crimes, you just see this look of like mixture of understanding and just like from Mary Jane. It's so good, and I wish, honestly, I wish the whole game had just been that. Just give me a whole game of that, and this would be my game of the year easily, instead of one of the most disappointing games of the year for me. One of the biggest letdowns. Yeah, I guess I've really said all I can say about, like, oh, and the story. Like, I don't care for the campaign very much. Like, I don't think the campaign is all that great. But the story itself behind it, it takes familiar Spider-Man stories, like some of the most popular ones, and adds its own twist to them, including a couple that I thought were really surprising. And the last for as much crap as I'm about to give this campaign, the last 20-25 minutes or so are so good and so fantastic that they almost, like, they definitely raise the game up a little bit in my head. Like, it's got an immensely satisfying conclusion. It really does. I go into more detail about it on the spoiler cast that's going to go up later in the week. Right, so on to what I don't like about Spider-Man. The big problem I have with this game is that it is structurally boring. It is probably the most basic open world game ever made. It's got the most basic, non-creative template around it. Stop me if this sounds familiar. What you do as Spider-Man, you go to several districts that have its content, you know, the blurred, so you can't see anything. So how do you unlock these side missions? Oh, you go to these radio towers to descramble the radio towers, and then it does a thing where it zones out once you've descrambled it, and it shows you small little previews of the things around you that you are able to do now that you've unlocked this radio tower. And you do that not just one time in a district, but 2 or 3 times. And then you go to the next district and you do the radio towers over there, and you do all the side missions that pop up. There's defending, there's you know, the basic criminal activities where you fight Silver Sable's crew, you fight the demons, you fight prisoners, and then there's also stuff from the Taskmaster, there's Black Cat stuff, there's numerous backpacks you can collect that it gets a little bit of trivia and Spider-Man in there, and you've got the landmarks that you can take pictures of, you got Daily Bugle articles you can pick up around the city. Now, what does that remind you of? Ubisoft. It's an Ubisoft game. Specifically, it reminded me so much of Far Cry 3, and beyond Far Cry 3, there are things in this game that reminded me, like Assassin's Creed. It reminded me of, like, the open world stuff that Ubisoft used to do, like shamelessly back in like 2014, 2015 with the radio towers. The stuff that was made fun of and out of date even back then is just shamelessly put into Spider-Man as this way to create this big, massive open world with the same activities to do over and over and over again. And after a while, I started to realize, like, wow, this city is it's so cool to look at, but there's so little underneath it. It's like as wide as an ocean, but as deep as a puddle. And when you start seeing the same activities over and over and over and over again, it really breaks the illusion that it's this like living, breathing city. The question marks that were in The Witcher 3 as like small little things around the world that, you know, blend in with the highly written, the highly detailed and immensely written side missions and all the other crap that they do in that game. That's it with Spider-Man. Yes, you get some side missions in there, but they feel the same. They have the same mechanics as the other side missions. They have the same mechanics as the campaign missions. It is just the same, and they're not all that interesting. And it's got so much like Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, so much Ubisoft influence in it that this game to me doesn't even feel like a Sony game. It feels like an Ubisoft game, right down to its mission structure, right down to its story sequences at points, right down to the way it's distributing DLC with the Season Pass and the fucking Digital Deluxe Edition, which might as well be called the Spider-Man Gold Edition. Woohoo! For an extra $25, you get all this other crap. Or for I think it's like $79.99 for the Digital Deluxe Edition, you get the Gold Edition. Woo! Spider-Man! It's an Ubisoft game. It feels so un-Sony-like. And I don't think this is going to affect the other PlayStation games. I don't. If it does, I'll really start to get worried. But this one in particular felt so shallow compared to a lot of other PlayStation games. It just felt like an Ubisoft game. Straight up, it just feels like it. It was really disappointing to see a developer as talented as Insomniac chomping at Far Cry's flavor so hard for this game that it felt like deja vu. I was like, oh my god, I'm playing Far Cry. Including one really, really stupid story sequence that I won't spoil, but it had me rolling my eyes so fucking hard with with how dumb it was and how played out it was. If you've ever played Far Cry, or hell, even like Batman Arkham Asylum, I know the developers don't like this game getting compared to the Batman series, the Arkham series, but this is the one area that's like, yeah, that's definitely like Arkham Asylum. So there's more. Side missions. What do? Well, you do a bunch of boring shit, and that's really about it. And it's just exhausting bloat. It's a grind. And of course, it has to have a crafting system for not just your suits, not just your gadgets, but your web moves as well. You got a whole bunch of unlocks you can get. And yes, while I appreciate that all the costumes in this game are unlockable strictly via gameplay, not stupid microtransactions. Yes, I am fully aware of that. And yes, the suits in this game are fun. They are really fun to unlock. Like, the simple act of unlocking them and toying around with them for a little bit is fun. But going through the same activities over and over, clearing out the same boroughs, the same district over and over and over and over again, it just gets so tiring, and it burned me out. And even before, because I hesitated to record this video, I hesitated because I thought, well, maybe if I clear out a couple of districts, I'll really get into the rhythm and flow of the side activities. Like, the campaign I don't think was all that great, but maybe the side stuff will save it. But it doesn't, because I couldn't even finish like 2 districts because I just got so bored. Going back and forth, collecting these backpacks and these fucking landmark stuff and these black cat things. It's so boring. It's boring. And yes, the traversal is fun. Yes, it makes the traveling much better. But can I please have stuff that is fun to web sling too? Like, this is a video game, for Christ's sake. I don't want to have to work hard for my fun. Like, don't make me work for my fun. This is a video game. It should just be fun the whole way through. Even frustrating, even like tough stuff should be fun. It's not fun though. It is a grind to do this. And I simply just don't understand how all these people are like singing this game's praises, singing this game to the fucking high heavens, and being like, oh my god, this is the most amazing superhero game ever made. Oh my god, this Spider-Man game is incredible. Oh my god, Spider-Man! Web slinging is not special. Here's the other thing I want to throw out to counter the points I've seen. Web slinging is not special. Web slinging has been done since 2004. And yes, it's done really well in Spider-Man, but when you take into account all the other boring open world grindy stuff in it, why is that why is this an exception to all the other, like, I don't even think this game comes close to Uncharted or Horizon or Bloodborne or hell, even like Until Dawn or any of these other, like, God of War, any of these other massive PlayStation exclusives out there. I don't think this game holds a fucking candle to those games whatsoever. Even compared to Horizon Zero Dawn, which Horizon Zero Dawn, yes, it has radio towers. Yes, it's got the collectible stuff. However, it's also got, like, radio towers that actually provide a challenge to you, where and they feel different every time. There's also the way you collect, like, stuff around the world because you're exploring this new world. Spider-Man PS4 is not a new world. It is New York City. How many times have we gone through New York City, and not just Spider-Man game, but all these other games? How many times have we seen the Spider-Man lore in video games? A lot. How many times have you seen twists on the Spider-Man lore? A lot. Horizon Zero Dawn, it's a brand new world. Hey, you want to go out in the world and find out more little lore tidbits? How at you. Cool. And even then, the collectibles in that game are nowhere near as overdone and relied upon for content as Spider-Man. In Horizon Zero Dawn, the meat and potatoes of that game is the combat. The meat and potatoes of Spider-Man is the fucking side missions that are the same shit over and over again. So, there's that. And it's just boring. That's just average boring. And I think even Spider-Man at the end of every campaign mission, I feel like he says, hey, I'm not powerful enough, I better go unlock more radio towers. Hey, I better go unlock more radio towers so I can see where I'm going with this crime activity. I need to unlock more radio towers. I need to unlock more radio towers. I need to unlock more radio towers. And it's like, oh my god, shut the fuck up. Please, just shut the fuck up. Shut up, shut up, shut up. And the saddest part about this game, the thing that really fucking stings, is that this game has the heart and soul of Spider-Man more than almost anything has in the last 15 years. Fuck Spider-Man Homecoming. Fuck those stupid Andrew Garfield movies. Fuck Spider-Man 3. And fuck a lot of those shit Spider-Man games that came between Spider-Man 2 and this one. This one is not a piece of shit. As much shit as I'm giving this game, I want this very clear that I do not hate this game. I think it's just average. And the reason I'm so harsh on it is because I think Sony and Insomniac particularly can do a lot better and can rely a lot less on these tired, boring, video gamey tropes. But like I said, the sad part is it's got the heart and soul. You know, like I already mentioned, the relationship between Peter and MJ is one of the most heartfelt things I've seen in a game in a while. The voice acting is fantastic. It's legitimately funny. I laughed quite a bit during this game. I haven't done that during a Spider-Man game in a long time. In like Spider-Man anything. I like Homecoming to me was a fucking comedy dead zone. But this is one that Spider-Man, like, it gets it. It gets Spider-Man. It gets the basics right. But everything else around it gets it so wrong. But, like, all that heart and soul just becomes exhausting when there is so much bloat around it. This game becomes disposable. It feels like a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. That's the ironic thing. It's so disposable. It's, oh, here's this thing that we've come out that you may be able to go through it. It doesn't create a lasting experience. It's like a condom. It's the thing that I compare Call of Duty to. It's the thing that I compare the fucking Marvel Cinematic Universe to. It's a condom. You use it, you might have fun with it, and you throw it away in the toilet and you forget about it. And that's exactly how I feel about Spider-Man PS4. I'm done with it. I'm done. The only reason I'm keeping it is because I bought the fucking $150 collector's edition, and it comes with the season pass, so I already paid for the season pass, so I might as well fucking keep it so I can play the Black Cat one and the other two shit that are coming out. God forbid that season, that campaign mission, those campaign missions, those DLC missions better be short, because once Red Dead Redemption 2 comes out, oh boy, Spider-Man, you're going in the fucking backlog. You're going way in the fucking backlog. Backlog. To the point where I may even forget to fucking play the other two DLCs. Who knows? Who fucking knows? But, yeah, that's Spider-Man PS4. The most Ubisoft Spider-Man game ever made. The most Ubisoft PlayStation game ever made. And during an era where I'm just so sick of Ubisoft's, like, open world stuff. Hell, even Ubisoft has done better than this. Watch Dogs 2 is one of the most engaging open worlds they've made in a long time. And I'm sure Assassin's Creed Odyssey is going to be pretty good, because everything I've seen from it looks pretty damn good. And I never thought I'd say that, but it does. Where all the things you explore in that game look to be naturally and organically discovered. There's nothing like that in this. There's nothing like coming up on random stuff, except the same random stuff over and over again that, again, makes the world feel so tiny. I wish this had just been a linear Spider-Man game. Like, have it follow the structure of Uncharted, where you explore these like semi-open world games and semi-stuff, and you move on. You keep moving. You explore. Maybe just explore all of New York. How about that? How about we have like little districts in between areas where you have to like navigate to and fro? Not just this giant fucking massive open world. Something smaller, something more intimate, something that makes this world feel alive. But it doesn't. It doesn't feel alive. It feels like every other open world game ever made since the Ubisoft heyday of this stuff. So, would I recommend Spider-Man PS4? And my honest answer is no. I'm gonna treat this like I treat nearly every Ubisoft game that comes out. If you are interested in this, wait until all the DLC has come out, and wait until the deluxe edition or whatever digital deluxe edition is on sale for like 30-40 bucks. Then pick it up. You get all the DLC. They've patched in like New Game Plus and other stuff. You get a more complete game then. Don't buy it now. That's my opinion. And I don't normally like telling people how to spend their money, but I know there's a lot of PlayStation enthusiasts that watch this channel, and I cannot recommend this one. I cannot recommend Spider-Man PS4. If you're looking for a good Sony open world game, go play Horizon Zero Dawn. Go play God of War. Those games are much better. Way better. But yeah, that's Spider-Man PS4. One of the biggest letdowns of the year, sadly. This in a year that's been fucking terrible for video games for me. Man. Let's hope Red Dead Redemption 2 is good, or else... Oh, boy. Alright. Thank you guys for watching. If you like what you see, subscribe. Let me know what you thought about Spider-Man PS4. Look out for the spoiler cast that's going to come later on in the week. And that's pretty fun. I recorded that before I recorded this, so pretty fun. Alrighty. Thank you all for watching. Have a good one, everyone. Take care.